Every story,
may I stand up?
ordinary,
Did you mean
see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you
from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria,
giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Welcome to CoreTV News on the Hour with Nifemi Oguntoye. The Anambra State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal in Awka has upheld Governor Willie Obiano's election and dismissed 4 petitions filed against him by other candidates. The tribunal chairman, Justice Ishak Bello, held that the petitions of Chike Obidigbo, belonging to a faction of APGA, Chris Ngige of APC, Tony Owoye of PDP, and the PDP lacked merit. Bello, in 4 separate judgments, held that Obiano's election complied substantially with the Electoral Act 2010 and the 1999 Constitution. The judge further discontinued the allegation of multiple registrations against Obiano for lack of evidence by the petitioner. On Ngige's petition, he held that the petitioner's witnesses failed to produce the voters' register to explain or demonstrate how they were disenfranchised in the election. The judge said only INEC could prove the falsification of its document, adding that the petitioner's failure to call INEC to give evidence was fatal to the case. Members of the Bring Back Our Girls movement have formally sought police protection to enable them continue with their daily sit-out protests. The group says in a statement that its lawyer, Femi Falana, is already in touch with the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, on the matter. The protesters have resolved to meet in court on Thursday when the suit against the FCT Police Commissioner, Joseph Ombu, is slated for hearing. President Goodluck Jonathan has forwarded the name of former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarawa to Senate for confirmation as minister. Shekarawa is one of the 3 people on the ministerial list that read on the floor of the Senate by the Senate President David Mark. The others are former Fenifere spokesman Dayo Adeyeye, representing Ekiti State, Abdul Bulama, Yobe State, and Stephen Oru from Delta State. The Senate, however, has not fixed a date for the screening of the ministerial nominees. Members of the Bring Back Our Girls movement have staged a protest march to the National Human Rights Commission to protest the police order stopping them from holding rallies in Abuja. The group moved to the Commission Secretariat shortly after filing a legal challenge to the directive handed down by the FCT Police Commissioner, Joseph Ombu. The lawyer also dropped hints of a readiness to lodge a formal complaint against the police commissioner.
Hundreds of the Bring Back Our Girls movement are back on the streets of Abuja. But this time, it's to make a short walk from the Federal High Court to the office of the Human Rights Commission.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Proudly displaying their banner, the demonstrators left no one in doubt about their readiness to challenge a police order stopping their daily sit-out.
Citizens should engage in peaceful association and at the same time cautioning the conduct of the association, but in any way does that ban by Umbu.
Go ahead about the ban, and there's no doubt that there's a right to peaceful protest as guaranteed by the court. The commission we are part of this. We want our girls to come back alive.
Soon after news had filtered in that the police high command has denied banning rallies, the group noticed that there is confusion in the police.
In that there's no ban on protests and rallies in the country. So there's confusion even in the police. But I want to say what Mbu did is unconstitutional, it's myopic, it's porous, it's parochial, it's dictatorial, it's authoritarian. And the man has proven that he's guilty of all the accusations against him in Rivers State.
It doesn't appear like the face-saving move by the police authorities would stop the activists. The lawyer is threatening action against the FCT police commissioner.
Violations of human rights. Your rights, fundamental right to freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, freedom of assembly and association have been violated, guaranteed by the Nigerian Constitution and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. I can assure you, we are not going to allow them to get away with this. Yes. It's perhaps more painful for me than anybody here, because on December 12, 2007, we won the battle for all Nigerians to protest peacefully.
Now, the activists behind the Bring Back Our Girls movement have not revealed whether they would resume their daily sit-outs. But they have resolved to continue to draw government's attention to the need to rescue hundreds of schoolgirls still held by insurgents more than a month after their abduction.
Reactions continue to trail former President Olusegun Obasanjo's eulogies of the acclaimed winner of the 1993 presidential elections, MKO Abiola, describing him as a great patriot, a position that is in contrast with his earlier comments that Abiola is not a messiah Nigeria needs. Obasanjo made the remark while speaking as eminent guest of honor at the 4th Founders' Day celebration and 85th birthday anniversary of the founder patron of the Nobel House College, Olatunde Abudu, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The former president acknowledged the contribution of the late business mogul to the development of Nigeria in all areas of human endeavor. An activist, Babatunde Ashafa, says Nigerian democracy would not have been made possible without June 12 sacrifices made by Abiola.
The history has it that Nigerian democracy is impossible. And the cardinal point that June 12 keep teaching Nigerians, reminding Nigerians about is that our, readiness to organize a free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. And that is what will keep us flying. That is what will keep us alive as a democratic nation. So June 12th, Nigerian democracy is incomplete without reference and without recognitions of June 12th.
According to Ashafa, it took former President Obasanjo so long to recognize Abiola's democratic sacrifices.
It will not be convenient, even if he has been enlightened and educated on the popular formula of governance, which is democracy. It will be very, very difficult to really, celebrate and appreciate people from the other side. I give it to him that he was honest to himself, and of course, he was defending the interests of the Nigerian soldier who occupies and controls the minority interests in the country. So it took him so long because that is where he came from. It took him so long because the principle of democracy, the love of democracy has not been their way all this while. And if you look at it from that 1999 to date, you can see that it's quite an age. Of course, if you put a child in a primary school, by today, if the child is not a master degree holder, I think by today you should be, ascending to become a PhD holder. So I think the spirit of democracy, whether we like it or not, whether by force or whether by convention, is now manifesting in the lives of the former president, President Olusegun Obasanjo, for him to see beyond his nose. He is not talking as a former military general now. He is not talking as a former military president. He is talking as a citizen, a democratic citizen of Nigerians.
Human rights activist Babatunde Ashafa commenting on former President Obasanjo's eulogies of the late MKO Abiola. Away from there, proceedings were almost stalled at the House of Representatives after a move by the majority People's Democratic Party to sack all Progressive Congress House leaders resulted in rowdiness. It took the presiding Deputy Speaker Emeka Ihedioha a few minutes to restore order as PDP and APC lawmakers disagreed over the matter. It was the Deputy House Majority Leader Leo Ogo who took APC members by surprise when he raised an order of privilege to draw attention to what he considered an anomaly. Citing relevant House rules, Ogo, a PDP member from Delta State, says there is a provision that all minority parties in the chamber should nominate candidates to occupy minority leadership positions in the House. Femi Gbajabiamila, an APC member from Lagos State, queried how the internal affair of minority parties breached the privilege of Ogo, a PDP member.
The rules do not say that the minority parties shall nominate based on party basis.
Among ourselves, we agree and we have our leadership and we communicate to our party and the leadership of the... Therefore, Leogo is not a member of the APC.
There was, however, more drama when APGA, Labour Party and Accord Caucus leaders took turns to disagree with Gbajabiamila and support Ogo's position.
Minority leaders, order!
Listen to debate. In the parliament. When we finish, I will continue.
Now, the crisis in Rivers State Judiciary over the appointment of a substantive chief judge for the state has taken a deeper plunge, with the National Judicial Council (NJC) directing the most senior judges in the State High Court and Customary Court of Appeal to oversee assigning of cases to judges. Acting Director of Information NJC's office in Abuja, Soji Oye, in a statement made available to newsmen, says that the two senior judges would also perform other related administrative duties. It stated that the Judicial Council took the decision to correct the impression created on NJC's decision on the appointment of the Rivers Chief Judge. The Rivers State government had raised alarm over the plot by the NJC to appoint an administrative judge for the state judiciary, which it argued was purely the constitutional duty of the state government. NJC had on March 27 suspended Justice Peter Agumagu as the Chief Judge of Rivers, who was sworn in by Governor Rotimi Amechi on March 18. Agumagu, until his appointment as Chief Judge, which NJC insisted breached Section 271 of the 1999 Constitution, was a former President, Rivers Customary Court of Appeal. Meanwhile, Agumagu has challenged his suspension, and the suit is before an Abuja Federal High Court. A Federal High Court in Lagos has adjourned till Thursday the trial of Speaker Adeyemi Ikuforiji of the Lagos State House of Assembly, charged with alleged money laundering. Ikuforiji is standing trial alongside his aide Oyebode Atoyebi on an amended 56-count charge bordering on the offence. CoreTV News gathered that the case, which was earlier slated for continuation of trial, was stalled on Wednesday following the absence of the prosecutor, Chief Godwin Obla. When the case was called, counsel representing the accused, Tunde Akirimisi, informed the court of a letter from the prosecutor intimating him of his absence from court. Following the information of Akirimisi, Justice Ibrahim Buba therefore ordered the court registrar to read out the letter in the open court. In his letter, Obla informed the court that his absence was due to a matter he was also handling before a Federal High Court in Abuja. He therefore craved the indulgence of the court that the matter be adjourned to June 5 and June 6 to enable him attend and prosecute his case. The crisis rocking the Labour Party in Ogun State has taken a new dimension as a faction led by Olabode Simon alleged that the other faction, loyal to a former governor of the state, Gbenga Daniel, offered it a bribe of 16.3 million naira to take over the party structure. Now, this is coming exactly 17 days after the two factions hosted the national leadership of the party, which included National Chairman Dan Umayawu and Governor of Ondo State Olusegun Mimiko in Abeokuta. In a meeting with loyalists at the State Secretariat in Adato, Abeokuta, the state factional chairman, Bode Simon, alleged that the other faction had made several attempts to hijack the party from them. He says the other faction had offered him a trip to either Canada or Dubai and a bribe of 16.3 million naira, which came in foreign currency and naira. This, he added, were to be shared by him, the secretary, Ogini Olakwasi, and financial secretary, Arabambi Abayomi. The party, in a communique read by its financial secretary, condemned the statement credited to Daniel that the party has been handed over to him by the national leadership. The state publicity secretary, loyal to Daniel's faction, Deji Kalejaye, described the allegation of bribery as alien, baseless and illogical to the ideals of the Labour Party. Away from there to Kwara, where the People's Democratic Party in that state has challenged the ruling All Progressive Congress to publicly disclose the sources of funds it had been receiving to finance the party since its registration in Kwara. PDP Publicity Secretary Rex Olawoye threw the challenge in a statement in Ilorin. The PDP was reacting to an earlier statement credited to Sulaiman Buhari, the state's APC Publicity Secretary, accusing the PDP of organizing a fundraising event in Abuja. Olawoye also challenged the APC to disclose the source of the money it used to pay for the multi-millionaire mansion, which the party recently acquired as secretariat. He says that the PDP raised funds from well-to-do members of the party and public-spirited members of the society. And moving on the news now, the Lagos State University Students' Union has urged Governor Babatunde Fashola to direct the closure of the institution's payment and registration portal. The union's president says the closure of the portal is necessary until the government reduced the tuition fees. Yusuf says the deadline by the management for students to pay their fees and register courses for the 2013-2014 academic session before May 30 has ended. It says students are bent on their no reduction, no resumption policy, and that discussions on how much the students will pay is still ongoing. The students had proposed that the fee be reduced to 46,500 naira for the returning students and 65,500 naira for fresh students. Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi has interacted with the state university community. The university community engaged the governor on issues bordering on governance. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
The merging of the existing three state-owned tertiary institutions, University of Ado-Ekiti, University of Science and Technology Ifaki, and the University of Education in Ikere to form Ekiti State University, has transformed the standard and level of university education received in the state. Professor Dipo Aina praised the government for giving the university operational and administrative autonomy.
Ekiti State University is not like other state universities, where a vice chancellor will have to make a call every morning to Mr. Governor to take instructions on how to run the university. We have absolute administrative autonomy in a state university.
The governor was asked several questions, including the provision of the vice chancellor's lodge.
This community doesn't love the way that our vice chancellor does not have a BC lodge. We don't love the BC living in government quarter. It's like it's infringing on what you earlier stressed, the autonomy of the university.
I could not believe, listening to you, it makes sense now because you can have all manner of conspiracy theories. The bottom line is, we do need a BC law. We just felt, okay, we could assist with that. It was not an agenda to keep the university vice chancellor away from you.
The taxation of the university teachers is one disagreeable issue that has set the university teachers on different paths with the state government. Governor Fayemi took some time to address the complaints of the teachers.
And I want to assure the university that as far as this government is concerned, the commitment to a fair tax system is irrevocable. Some understanding has been reached with regards to this as far as tax is concerned.
Now that we have gotten your assurance that the issue of tax has been resolved, we want to plead passionately that the issue should not be revisited.
Students of the university also complained of exorbitant rate of the school fee and multiple payments in tuition.
Sir, the other analysis they gave to us on the site when we want to pay our school fees, we still get to pay for those fees again. Like the faculty dues, the departmental due, the field work.
Ekiti State University fees are not prohibitive. It is one of the lowest in Nigeria. You can challenge me. I have encouraged the Vice Chancellor to reduce the associated fee.
Governor Fayemi has publicly announced his desire to start teaching in the university by October, but the move has been described as one of the campaign strategies for the governor's re-election bid. Rashid, CoreTV News.
The 2014 All-Africa Public Relations Association Conference has ended with participants and practitioners fully resolved to allow Africans tell the Africa story and improve the continent's image. Our correspondent, Ebulobo Adekunle, who was in Port Louis, Mauritius, venue of the APRA conference, has more in this report.
The 2014 All-Africa Public Relations Association Conference opened in Port Louis, Mauritius, on a very sound note, with participants engaged in brainstorming sessions aimed at improving the image of the African continent. The three-day conference had in attendance major players in the public relations business in Africa. It was a near-emotional session as participants lament the negative reportage the African continent gets in the Western media. They stress that the continent's story can be better told by inhabitants of the land.
As the talented Nigerian writer Chimamanda Adichie puts it, the problem with stereotyping is not that they are untrue, but they are incomplete and does not tell the whole story. The only way to tell the full story is for Africa to tell our own story.
The general meeting of APRA afforded delegates the opportunity to evaluate the performance of the public relations professionals in the continent over the years. While all the delegates admitted that this year's conference was well organized and better than the previous years, they suggested how better the next conference should be organized and all-embracing.
But I do have a feeling that if we are talking about Africa advancing, we should be advancing in unity. And I expect that unity to start from here.
The communique issued at the end of deliberations indicated that public relations will be used extensively to advance the cause of Africa.
In view of what is happening in the West in terms of the media coverage of Africa, which we think is a bit harsh on Africa, when you look at the news channels, that's the international news channels, all you see is negative aspects of Africa, as if to say there are no positives. So we are working with the AU with a view to supporting our governments dealing with this reputation and image that is portrayed in the Western media.
An interesting part of the day came at the dinner organized to round off the conference. Delegates stepped out in beautiful attires and took over the L'Aventure Souk venue of the dinner. The occasion was also used to commemorate the 10 years anniversary of Blast Communication, a public relations firm in Mauritius, which was saddled with the responsibility of putting the conference together. Delegates from different countries danced to the music and eventually all danced to a unity song to gracefully end the PR conference. Ebulobo Adekunle, CoreTV News, Mauritius.
On the foreign scene, reactions are now trailing Bashar al-Assad conducted elections in faraway Syria. We'll bring you details of that and more stories shortly after this break.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
I see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Thanks for being there. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. As well as on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV with a space and news. On the foreign scene, NATO head Anders Fogh Rasmussen has dismissed the presidential elections in Syria as a mockery, saying it did not meet international standards. Rasmussen says the vote did not fulfill international standards for free, fair and transparent elections, saying no NATO ally would recognize the outcome of the so-called elections. President Bashar al-Assad is expected to win a crushing victory over two little-known challengers in the elections, which the Syrian opposition has also condemned as an embarrassment.
The Syrian presidential election is a farce. It doesn't fulfill international standards for free, fair and transparent elections, and I'm sure that no ally will recognize the outcome of these so-called elections. I really appreciate the American leadership in taking reassurance measures. A first very important step in that direction would be for Russia to de-escalate the situation, first and foremost by a full withdrawal of Russian troops from the Ukrainian borders. Still, tens of thousands of Russian troops along the Ukrainian borders, and that massive troop presence is not justified. It would contribute to a political and peaceful solution to the problems if Russia stops the support for armed gangs in eastern Ukraine, armed gangs that occupy government buildings and, as we have seen, also take OSCE observers hostage.
That's it on CoreTV News this hour. Don't miss our comprehensive news package, the CoreTV Primetime News, coming up later at 9:45. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.